Hi everyone, my name is Maria Bison. Today I'm going to show you how to benchmark clinicians or physicians and how to conduct a regression analysis in Excel. This is a Teach One project for Statistical Performance Improvement HAP 725 course at George Mason University. This is narrated for Dr. Farouk Alimi. Why is benchmarking important in healthcare? Benchmarking is important in healthcare because we want to compare processes and successes with other competitors. We also want to know how physicians are performing based on their patient outcomes. Benchmarking helps clinicians identify areas where there's a gap in the quality of care. To compare clinicians, first we must have a data. Let's say you have a data of two physicians who are caring for 10 patients each with certain attributes. These patients have a diagnosis of previous EMI, CHF, and shock. Also, the data included the length of stay of each patient. First step is to plug in the data into Excel. The second step is identify the type of patients. You have to skim through the data. For instance, you have a patient with a diagnosis of MI, CHF, but no shock. And you also need to find a patient with MI, but no CHF and no shock. And you identify patient with MI, no CHF, and have shock, and so on. In total, you will have 5 different types of patients. The next step is plot the calculations to compare the two physicians. First, get the average of length of stay for each patient and so on. For example, the length of stay for patient A with a diagnosis of MI and CHF with no shock is 4.5. That 4.5 came from the patient 1 and 2 under Dr. Smith, which is 4 and 5. You divide it by 2 and you come up with 4.5. And you do that with the rest of the type of patients. And you do the same thing with Dr. Jones' length of stay. You average the patient type A with the length of stay and you come up with a number. The next step is you need to calculate for the probability. Let's say, for example, you're counting the probability for patient A. The command is countif is equals to countifs, and you have to count the cell from the under MI from C3 all the way to C12, which is the 10th patient, and equals 1, meaning that patient is under have MI, comma, then to the cell from D3 all the way to D12 and equals 1, which is CHF, then comma, E3 to E12, which is 0 because there's no shock. You divide it by 10, and the probability for that is 0.2. Here you're going to continue calculating for the probability on each patient type. For example, on patient type D, you calculate for the probability for MI, CHF, and shock. And take a note that the formula also changes, which is equals to countifs from B3 to B12 is equals to 1, C3 to C12 is equals to 1, comma, from D3 to D12 is equals to 1, and divided by 10 and equals to 0. The reason that's 0 because under Dr. Smith's group, he didn't take care of any patient that has all the diagnosis. That's why it's 0. So the last step is to take the grand average of the length of stay and you sum up the probability. So who do you think receive a positive scorecard? You are correct. Dr. Smith is more efficient than Dr. Jones because the expected outcome or the average length of stay under Dr. Smith is 3.6 days versus 4 days, meaning that the patients under Dr. Smith have a faster recovery. Here I'm going to show you on how to conduct a regression analysis on the length of stay for MI, CHF, and shock. But before we do that, make sure that you have installed the data analysis in your Excel software. If you don't have that, first you have to go to the file on the left upper hand corner of the Excel, click on Option, click on Analysis Toolpath, click Add-ins, and then OK. After you install the Analysis Toolpath, the data analysis icon will show up in your Excel software on the right hand corner. From there, you're going to click on Data Analysis, and a dialog box will show asking for the analysis tools. You're going to click on Regression and click OK. And another dialog box is going to show, and it says Regression. And it's going to ask you the Y range and the X range. The Y range will be your dependent variable, while the X range will be the independent variables. So on the Y range, you will highlight the length of stay. You include the headings from the top heading to the 10th patient. And for the X range, you will highlight the three variables, the MI, CHF, and shock with a header down to the 10th patient. And also you have to click on the labels, and you have to click on the output range. This is very important because you want this part here to plug in which cell you want to have your output to show. So after that, you click on OK. Here is going to show the summary output of the regression analysis, and it has all the regression statistics, the R-square, the adjusted R-square, the ANOVA, and the coefficient standard. So from this summary output, this is where you're going to find the regression equation. So the regression equation is coming from the coefficient standards. Here I highlighted it yellow, and it's the intercept, MI, CHF, and shock. And how you're going to write it down is Y equals to 1.67 plus 2.33 plus 0.5 plus 0.5, and that's your regression equation. So when you add up your regression equation, it should equal to 5. The 5 will be the predicted length of stay for the synthetic case if Dr. Smith would have to take care of a patient with a combination of diagnosis with MI, CHF, and shock. Your assignment should look like this. And that's the end of my presentation, and thank you for listening.